Good evening, visitors, and welcome to the Australian War Memorial's last post ceremony. My name is Gerard Pratt, and joining us today from the Royal Australian Navy is Acting Sub-Lieutenant Jack Ludlow. This evening, we warmly welcome the family of Flight Sergeant John Herbert McCarthy, whose story will be told shortly. We warmly welcome Group Captain Bruce Chandler, retired, representing the Air Force Association. As always, we welcome the veterans who have served, those who are still serving, and the families that love and support them. The live stream of this ceremony is made possible by the Returned and Services League of Australia and the RSL and Services Clubs Association. We welcome members who are watching the broadcast of this ceremony from across Australia. During this evening's ceremony, wreaths will be laid at the base of the Pool of Reflection by family, visitors to the memorial, and students on behalf of the Quran State School and Yandina State School, both from Queensland. If you're able, please stand and join in singing the National Anthem. Students, please be seated. The Australian War Memorial was the vision of Charles Bean, Australia's first World War official historian. Bean landed with the Australian troops on Gallipoli and stayed with them at the front through until the end of the war. The idea of this national memorial and museum came to him at Pozières, France, in the depths of the bloody fighting of 1916. Bean's idea was that this would be a place where families and friends could mourn loved ones buried in faraway places. It would also be a place that could help all Australians understand what these men and women had endured and what they had done for us. Bean's vision, to which we remain true, is best expressed as inscribed in the entrance to the memorial's galleries. Here is their spirit, in the heart of the land they loved, and here we guard the record which they themselves made. Tonight, we will read the story behind just one of those on the Roll of Honour, which lists the names of more than 103,000 men and women who have given their lives for us in war and on operations for more than a century. But first, we present a lament, Flowers of the Forest. Wreaths or floral tributes will now be laid at the base of the Pool of Reflection.
Today, we remember and pay tribute to Flight Sergeant John Herbert McCarthy. John McCarthy was born on the 16th of December 1918 in South Melbourne, one of two children born to First World War veteran Herbert McCarthy and his wife Gertrude. He received his education at Xavier College, where he was a keen sportsman, participating in football, cricket, tennis, cross-country and swimming. He went on to study accountancy and was a volunteer member of the local militia group. At the outbreak of the Second World War in 1939, he was working for Nestle as a clerk in the stock department. John McCarthy enlisted in the Royal Australian Air Force on the 2nd of February 1941. After a few weeks of training near Sydney, he embarked for Canada. Arriving in mid-April, he travelled to Winnipeg and undertook a course at Wireless School. In September 1941, McCarthy undertook an air gunner's course before training in Halifax Heavy Bombers in October. On the 4th of November 1941, John McCarthy embarked for the United Kingdom. As part of the Empire Air Training Scheme, he was one of almost 27,500 RAAF pilots, navigators, wireless operators, air gunners, and flight engineers who, throughout the course of the war, joined Royal Air Force squadrons or Australian squadrons based in Britain. McCarthy arrived in England and joined new recruits at a reception centre in the seaside town of Bournemouth. In April 1942, he began training to join Bomber Command, travelling to the Royal Air Force Base at Cottesmore, where he trained on twin-engine Hampton bombers. Having completed his training across Australia, Canada and England, McCarthy joined the ranks of the No. 50 Squadron, Royal Air Force, in late August of 1942. The squadron was part of 5 Group, Bomber Command, and was equipped with Lancaster heavy bombers, flying in missions over Germany, targeting shipping yards, railways, factories, docks and major cities. As a wireless air gunner, McCarthy played a vital role on these missions, maintaining communications as well as firing the defensive machine gun when the Lancaster came under attack. Missions over enemy territory were fraught with danger, from anti-aircraft fire and enemy fighters. The odds were stacked against those who served in Bomber Command, with losses numbering about 1 in 3. On the 4th of February 1943, McCarthy was part of an 8-man crew detailed to carry out a bombing raid on the German submarine base at Lorient in southwest France. The attack was a major success, with little resistance from the enemy. As the bombers began their return journey, huge fires could be seen raging from the location of the target. Of the 8 aircraft detailed for the mission, 7 made it back to the squadron's base at Waddington. McCarthy and his comrades failed to return, and a search began to locate them. There was no trace of the aircraft on sea or land, and authorities were forced to presume that McCarthy's Lancaster had been attacked by enemy aircraft and crashed into the sea. This theory was seemingly confirmed when the bodies of 3 of the crew washed ashore along the French coast. After war's end in 1945, Flight Sergeant McCarthy was presumed to have been killed in action during his squadron's attack at Lorient 2 years earlier. No trace of his remains or his aircraft were found. Today, he is commemorated on the Runnymede Memorial in England, among more than 20,000 other members of the Air Force who have no known grave. John McCarthy was 24 years old. His name is listed on the Roll of Honour on my left, among almost 40,000 Australians who died while serving in the Second World War. His photograph is displayed today by the Pool of Reflection. This is but one of many stories of service and sacrifice told here at the Australian War Memorial. We now remember Flight Sergeant John Herbert McCarthy, who gave his life for us, for our freedoms, and in the hope of a better world.
Please stand for the reading of the Ode and the sounding of the last post.
They shall grow not old, as we that are left grow old. Age shall not weary them, nor the years condemn. At the going down of the sun, and in the morning, we will remember them.
We will remember them.
lest we forget.
Lest we forget. We leave you this evening with the words of the memorial's founder, Charles Bean. Many a man lying out there at Pozieres, or in the low scrub at Gallipoli, with his poor, tired senses barely working through the fever of his brain, has thought in his last moments, well, it's over. But in Australia, they will be proud of this. Ladies and gentlemen, girls and boys, that concludes the last post ceremony. On behalf of the Director, staff and volunteers, thank you for visiting the Australian War Memorial today and for your continued support of the Memorial's development project. We wish you all a very pleasant evening. Thank you.